Welcome everyone to Tim's Vinyl Confessions, and Mr. Mike Ladano joins me on this episode. How you doing, Mike?
Oh, I'm doing great. We've got our coffee. We have the beautiful lake behind us. What more could you want? I hope you're doing well.
It looks like you've got like a very idyllic scene right there. Looks very cool.
But at the same time, this is the scene yesterday where I was playing that new Journey album multiple times on this porch.
Yes, and that's what we're here to talk about. Man, it seems like long time ago, much longer than it actually was, that we were talking about, when is this album actually going to come out? Is it going to come out? Where's the pre-order? Well, guess what? Freedom is here. Uh, in an alternate timeline, or if Herbie Herbert had his way, this album would have come out in 1987, and it would have contained songs like "I'll Be All Right Without You" and "Suzanne," and it would have been raised on radio. But
Hmm.
here we are, 2022, first new Journey album in 11 long years, Freedom. And it's had I would say, a long gestation, and not a lot of information behind the scenes, but it's here. Mike and I are both huge fans. We're glad it's here, and we're going to talk about it. So, um, yeah, I guess the first thing to talk about is, all right. There's overall, this is going to be a good, good comments with the side order of crusty. Okay, this is this all they could have come up with for the cover, Mike? I mean, it's so generic looking.
I
It
know.
looks like 1,000 compilations. It it doesn't look like it was professionally done. I mean, I know they sort of have to incorporate the scarab into everything they do now. I understand that. And, normally I'm a huge proponent of their artwork, but this just looks so old video gamey.
Yeah, that's a. Speaking of which, they were pioneers in the video game field. But yeah, you're right about that. And I kind of miss. Yeah, it looks a lot like Escape. Um, I kind of miss, when they did Trial by Fire, and that album cover was distinctly Journey because the Scarab was there, and it
Yep.
had the same kind of colorful backdrop that you expect from a Journey album, but yet it looked completely new. And
Yeah.
this is a throwback, and I kind of liken it to maybe something that Def Leppard would do. Give you something that reminds you of the past, but is really just something thrown together today.
Exactly.
But
That's
the cover is deceiving.
the cover is deceiving. Yeah. This is it's on BMG, so it's they've got major label distribution now. And it's a good long album.
Yeah.
15 tracks on the regular edition. There is a bonus track called Hard to Let It Go, which I haven't even bothered listening to. And I'm going to get crusty again. Crusty Tim, in this day and age, when you can order online from anywhere in the world, what is the point of bonus tracks anymore? Guys, I'm talking to every veteran band or artist. Come out with the most deluxe edition of your album and then tear it down to just your
Yeah.
regular one.
I'm good
Because
with that.
I'm sorry, but the only people that are going to buy these are your diehard fans. So give them the option of picking the one that they want. Don't make it harder to get. Because in this day and age, I'm asking, what's the point of it? That's like putting out something that says it's PAL compatible. It's like, what? You're using an old language, right? It's an old, outmoded system. They've got these handful of bonus tracks kicking around. They've got ones like Pride of the Family, Let It Take You Back, and it's like, well, if you didn't think this was good enough to actually make your album, then I'm not going to worry too much about. I used to be all about it, but now I have to choose what I'm going
Yeah.
to invest in, and this is not a band I'm casual about, as anyone knows. This is a huge band for each of us,
Yeah.
and I'm
I have
saying I've bought the versions of it I'm going to get.
I think I have as well. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. I know Mitch LaFon. You know Mitch LaFon.
Oh yeah,
He bought the Japanese version. and he's kind of been lecturing me about not buying the Japanese version. But the truth of the matter is, that's like $80 once
Yeah.
you figure in all the shipping and exchange. And currently, I can't order anything from Japan and have it shipped by regular mail. It all comes by courier, and that really kind of doesn't work for me. I'm at work all day. So I think this might be something that I might just kind of wait and see if they release it on a tour edition, or you know how these things can go, Tim. If you spend $80 on something, they will re-release it.
Yeah. Oh, you could almost guarantee it.
Almost guarantee it.
Yeah. So anyway, the that's the little bit of negativity. I will get that out of the way. But
I have some
let's talk.
negativity I'd like to throw down.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about the lineup changes, it's very frustrating being a Journey fan. I was, for one, very excited when Steve Smith came back to the band, even though it meant the departure of Dean Castronovo, who's a fantastic lead vocalist as well as a drummer. But
Yeah.
Steve Smith has a style. He's very jazzy. He does that jazz band Vital Information. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I was very disappointed when Steve Smith and Ross Valerie, the original bassist, were fired for a coup d'etat. They were trying to take over the band, apparently, which to me just, I don't know. There's something about that story that doesn't sit right with me. And then we get Randy Jackson and
A
Narada,
member of the Journey family.
right? And throwing back to what you said earlier about Raised on Radio, that was Randy playing on Raised on Radio. So the return of the Raised on Radio bassist, and then we get Narada Michael Walden on drums. And it's like, if you can't have Steve Smith, this is the guy.
Yeah.
And he's an incredible songwriter. So I was very excited. And then all of a sudden we hit that period after the pandemic initially hit in 2020, when they did that re-recording of, what was it? Don't Stop Believing or something?
Yeah, that's right. The Zoom.
Yes, the Zoom recording, which was cool. Every band was doing that.
Yep.
But then we hit that period of silence where it's like, what the hell is going on? And that's what you were alluding to earlier when we were very frustrated. Where's the pre-order? We've heard the first single, which was
The way we used to be.
the way we used to be.
Yeah.
We heard the first single and then nothing. And then we start wondering if Randy Jackson and Narada Michael Walden are even still in the band. And right now we're kind of in a situation where both are dealing with health issues.
Yeah. And then but we didn't know that.
Right.
And then we start seeing pictures where it's just Neil, Jonathan, and Arnell. So it's like, oh, we're back to this again. Come on.
Show the artwork where it's just those three guys.
Yeah. It survived into the artwork.
There you go. You don't get pictures of the other guys, just those three.
Yeah. Take bass and drums out of the songs. What do you got? Not much.
Well, we will get into the bass and drums as we go.
Yes.
I don't know how you want to do this.
We're just kind of unloading this at the beginning. And ultimately, we're to talk about some new music from one of our longtime favorite bands. My overall impression, and we'll go through it song by song. My overall impression of this, it doesn't feel like a follow-up to Eclipse.
No.
It feels like a follow-up to Revelation. And I liked Eclipse. A lot of people didn't. I liked Eclipse. I thought Eclipse was a gutsy album. I thought it took some chances, which I was all about. There was just no way that it was ever going to sell. It would have never had the wow factor that Revelation had, with the Cinderella story of RNL joining the band, the re-records, the Walmart deal, all of that. But it wasn't a very traditional sounding Journey album. And that was 11 years ago. So here we are with an album that sounds like it in 2010.
If I may be so bold, I disagree with you, and I think this sounds like the follow-up to Trial by Fire, 1996, the final album of Steve Perry.
I think we're on the same wavelength. It definitely doesn't feel like the follow-up to Eclipse.
No,
it's not going in that direction.
No, that was kind of like the hard rocker that Neil Schon, I think, was blowing off a lot of rock and roll steam on that album. But good, I've gone track by track with my notes as well. The only other thing I want to add as an observation is, when I listen to this album, I feel like I'm listening to a 3-sided album with 5 songs per side. An album, a side opener, a side closer, side opener, side closer, 3 times. Yeah. That's the way it feels.
I kind of wish that, because these veteran bands release new music so infrequently, it would be kind of neat if we already know they've got at least one other finished song, right? if they had like 4 or 5 other songs, do what Metallica did with Load and Reload. Split these
Mm.
up and give us a new album next year.
Or like Dennis DeYoung did recently.
Yeah, just don't like. But at the same time, and I've said this before, if you're only going to put an album out so much, give us everything you got.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. So yeah, let's get into this. Track 1, Together We Run. Mike, your thoughts?
I'll just read my notes. And sneak preview, these notes have turned into my eventual review at mikeladano.com that I will post after this airs.
You read it here first.
There you go. Yeah, you're hearing my review first here. Together We Run, I wrote, it's a classic 80s sound. I really like the catchy John Cain piano opening. I described the chorus as awesome, and I love the whoa, whoa, whoa part. I described the classic Neil Schon solo, and I think Arnell is sounding even more kind of soulful than he has in the past. And I rank this song a 5 out of 5 in my books.
My notes on it. My first impression has changed. I thought it was an odd choice for an opener, but I've since come to realize it's not. It sets the pace and glides you in. Let's go. And I also thought that the drums, I understand it's doing that classic, dun 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 dun, like it's doing that thing.
A Steve Smith thing.
Yeah, it's doing like the Don't Stop Believin' Separate Ways thing and not just playing a straight beat. But I thought for an opening song, a straight beat might have been better. But I've changed my mind on that. It's really, really grown on me. But it felt like it was stopping and starting at first. But it's like, and you're right, the chorus is quintessential. And I just, I was going to mention this at some point. I think Arnell sounds fantastic on this album. It sounds like he's got his mojo back. Not that he really lost it, but he's sounding like the guy they saw on YouTube and said, "This is the guy to front Journey." And he credits Narada for like really coaching him.
Yes.
And also, I think the album sounds amazing. I think the production is fantastic.
Yes.
And the musicianship is just off the charts.
And this is self-produced by Narada, Cain, and Schon.
We're off to the races with this track. And thankfully, each track is pretty well annotated as to who actually played on it. And now that we know that, Narada and Randy, they weren't unceremoniously dropped.
No.
It's fine. It's fine.
They're all over the album.
I'm okay with that. So yeah, it's off to a good start.
One final observation about that song.
Yeah.
I also get vibes of Higher Place from the Arrival album, the first one with Steve O'Jerry on lead vocals. And I think that's in that rhythm that you're talking about.
Yeah. Which is
anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Freaking amazing song too. Yeah, next up, Don't Give Up on Us. It's not a David Soul cover. Some of you will get that. Yeah. What about this one, Mike?
I didn't have a lot to say. I felt that it was a bit of a Separate Ways Separate Ways ripoff, which is ironic considering
I had the same thing written down.
Oh, okay. Just a slowed down version of Separate Ways, but I did say it is a good tune, and I rank it 4 out of 5.
Once again, Mike, I put Separate Ways ripoff, not necessary.
Yeah, not necessary, but on the other hand, you understand why.
But then I did write turns into its own song.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll grow.
Third one is Still Believe in Love. By the way, the songs are pretty long on here. A lot of songs top 5 minutes. So there's a lot to dig into. Still Believe in Love. That one, Mike.
This is the first of, I believe, 3 ballads, and I really like Walden's drums on this. He's just nailing that soul vibe. And this one's kind of soft and romantic, but Journey's done that before, and I don't mind it. And I think it's good in that soft romantic tradition, and I rank it 4 out of 5.
I wrote. The trouble is that my writing is so messy, slow. So yeah, 3 songs in, but I thought at this point, okay, are we going to get like 6 out of 15 slow songs on here? But we don't.
Yeah.
So that was all right. And this is where I wrote more traditional than Eclipse. It didn't. It just kind of floated by.
Okay. Fair enough.
Not bad, just kind of floated by. So Next up, okay, I believe this would have been the second single. You Got
You're
the Best
correct.
of Me.
Classic Journey style hard rocker. And I wrote that Narada nails the vibe again in a completely different style than the previous song, but still I'm getting it kind of like that Steve Smith vibe. And I pointed out that the chorus is quite stellar. 5 out of 5.
It's a great song. I really like it. I mean, yeah, it rocks the way that you want a Journey song to rock, like "Be Good to Yourself" to reference a, a Raised on Radio track. Yeah, Narada's a monster. I mean, these guys are pros, man, and this guy's like, oh yeah, this is an R&B, but these are the pros that can play anything.
Yeah.
So if if somebody says Narada, this is a rock song, you
No
got
problem.
it, like the chorus says. And I also put that I liked the fingerpick riff,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
I kind of think Van Halen every time I hear that fingerpick style, but Neil Schon is really a master of it as well.
It also when someone name a riff that's picked, one of the first ones that always comes to mind is "Coming of Age" by Damn Yankees. Yeah, just
Yeah.
something with So next up, "Live to Love Again."
Yeah. My notes say that this is a Jonathan Cain solo writing credit, the only one on the album. I found it a bit corny, but not so much more than something Bon Jovi might be doing today. So keep that in mind. This is actually my least favorite song on the album, and I rated it 3 out of 5.
I wrote "Full On Ballad," and that's all that I wrote. Although I still think it's it's better than anything Bon Jovi's done in decades.
Fair.
I have a complicated relationship with that band, as anyone knows.
They don't exist anymore to me. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's another episode.
A
That's
whole other
another
show.
episode. Okay. Number 6, the first single, the first thing that we heard and saw. They did a little animated video for it. "The Way We Used to Be."
It's grown on me hugely since it was first released, and I think maybe it works better on an album than as a single, especially a first single. It has a darker, kind of more ominous tone, but it's absolutely killer. I wrote "powerful" with a great chorus, and I rank it 5 out of 5. 2 years ago,
Yeah.
when it was first previewed, I think I might have ranked it 3.5 out of 5.
I thought it was okay when it first came out, but I try not to get the first single too ingrained in my head before the album comes out. But that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so subsequently, I hadn't listened to it that much. And then when I'm listening to the album proper in its intended order, I also wrote, I forgot how kind of bluesy it was.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So it's good. Very good. Next up,
Come Away With Me.
not a Norah Jones cover either.
No, it's not.
Come Away With Me. Not at all.
I wrote Randy Jackson for the win.
Yeah.
I wrote that it's an uncharacteristic hard rock groover, which you don't always say the word groove with Journey, but you do on this album.
Yeah.
And do I hear an homage to the very first album with this one? I think I might. 5 out of 5, and I used the word.
Check that out again. You got my curious. I wrote a lively rocker. Next up, Afterglow. 2 words.
Love it. Dean on lead vocals. This is the third ballad, in fact.
Yeah.
Dean Castronova on lead vocals. I think this is basically his only appearance on the album, because he's a kind of a late return.
If I read the credits correctly, yeah, it's his only appearance, but it's a good one. And I'll be honest with you, I'm working and listening to it. I didn't catch it the first time that was Dean.
Tiny bit more grit, just a tiny bit. A little bit more of a Steve Perry circa Trial by Fire sound. I wrote at least each ballad is different from one another.
Yes. Yeah.
3.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it's a mid-tempo builder. And yeah, once I knew it was Dean, it was like, of course it's Dean. Listen to it.
Yeah.
But to me, that also says, like I said, Arnell's vocal performance on this album is spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in an era where I'm not seeing a lot of live shows,
mm-hmm.
I don't care. I that's a funny thing to say, If you can deliver it in the studio and put a good album out, let's keep having more albums, not less albums.
Tim,
time is precious.
I realize that the live concert is where a lot of the bread and butter is for bands.
Yes, I
I
do too.
realize that, and I also completely get people who want to see as many live shows as they can. Totally get it. But the album to me is the document. It's the historical document, to use
Absolutely.
a phrase from a science fiction movie. So that's the thing that's there forever. That's the thing that they worked hard on and is a statement of a kind. Whereas a live show is a moment. And I have always felt that the album for me in my personal music consuming experience is the thing rather than the show.
Yeah. I've had some incredible, I've been fortunate to see some great live shows.
Hmm.
Seen Journey once in 2015, and it was incredible. But yeah, the album is the thing. The recordings are what are going to last. The
Yeah.
recordings are when, years after these guys are gone, are what survives. Memories of live concerts are fleeting. When I try to remember shows that even I've seen within the last 30 years or so, sometimes I get fuzzy on them, and I remember thinking, I'll always remember this part. And it's like, but when you've got that document to listen to, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so next up is Let It Rain.
Yeah. Whoa is my note. Completely different. Funk, courtesy of Mr. Randy Jackson on bass, slightly.
Yep.
But it's there in the groove, and it's very unexpected. And I also noted that Neil Schon is mental. 4 out of 5 stars.
I wrote slow rock blues again, not
Huh.
expected. And what does that say? Oh my goodness. Let it, I have no idea what that says. And I wrote this. And this is a good place too to say, I think that Neil, of course, is great on here, but I like the fact that he seems to have gone back to playing for the song. He's not overplaying in every single
No, he's
song.
not. You're right.
It's some of his most tasteful playing in a long time. He reined it in. And I don't know if that's Narada going, hey, man, that's great, but, take your foot off the gas a little bit. Whatever it is, I think the production is stellar. The rhythm section is just rock solid. And yeah, I'm really impressed with, Neil doesn't need to impress anybody with his guitar playing. We already know he's one of the greats, right?
Mhm.
But I love how he's picking his spots on this album. It seems like he's picking his spots more here.
I like that we both used the word unexpected on this track. And I think, judging from what we've said so far, I think I'm using the word funky where you're using the word bluesy. We'll see if that continues.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's as I don't think it's got as much R&B as Raised on Radio had.
No,
But
but
that's
it's
more of the
there.
Steve Perry influence as well as having, having Randy on it. And but yeah, it's
I'm glad
definitely
it's there.
just not straight ahead uh,
Yeah,
keyboard guitar rock.
I'm glad it's there because that's what I wanted. When they said Randy Jackson is coming back to the band, I wanted stuff like this, and we're getting it. So I'm
Yeah,
happy. I'm very happy with this album, as you can tell.
and for people that weren't kind of for people that only know Randy Jackson as the guy on American Idol, you
Yeah, no.
gotta like dig into some of the stuff he's done. And there's one little bass run he does in particular, and it's just a slide, but I love it. Right before the final chorus in "I'll Be All Right Without You." There's a drum fill, and he just woo. It's just a perfect slide back into the chorus. It just anyway.
Yeah, where were
Holding
we?
on, track 10. So we're 2/3 of the way through.
Mr.
Relatively short
Jackson.
one too. I think this is the shortest song on the album. It's only 3:14.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Mr. Jackson's first co-write on the album, which is surprising given the amount of influence I'm hearing. I'm hearing an homage to early Journey, the progressive side of Journey. Um, I'm not a schooled musician, but to me that time signature here sounds nuts, and I rank it 4 out of 5.
I wrote doubled vocal question mark. Another rocker, aggressive vocal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like surprisingly aggressive vocal. At this point, I want to talk about the artwork. You've referenced the early stuff. I want to talk about this artwork a little bit.
Right.
Now I like this.
Mm-hmm.
I like this, and I'm going to show you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the gatefold to this
Ah,
with its
yes,
choice of
yes, yes,
colors.
yes. I see it. I see it.
So anytime I can plug the early stuff, I'm going to plug it. But back into the album with the song that is not a Kinks cover either. All Day and All Night.
I keep talking about Randy Jackson, and I wrote Randy Jackson is the MVP for his bass pulse on this soulful, funky groove. Wicked song, an album highlight. And Neil Schon, as you alluded to last time, he just kind of punctuates the air with some chords, just where it's necessary, while the bass carries the verses. Arnell is an absolutely top voice on the screaming outro, 5 out of 5 stars.
I put third rocker in a row. And yeah, this is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorites on the album. Next
Awesome.
up, Don't Go.
Not a Judas Priest cover.
Not a Judas Priest cover. Also, man, a lot of people have used that song. Yes, used it. Wow.
Arnell's first co-write on this album. And
Yes.
only co-write.
Only co-write, yeah.
And to me, this kind of sounds like an early 80s Bon Jovi tune, like maybe circa their self-titled debut or 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Uplifting chorus, and I love it. I gave it, what did I give it? 5 out of 5 stars. So not bad for Arnell's only writing credit.
My goodness. Who wrote this? Oh, it was me. Been a while. Been a while since Starts Right Off. Yeah, it kind of comes right in. Rocking back end. I think that's what that says. I like it. In short, I like it.
Yeah. Indeed.
Next up, United We Stand.
This one was kind of throwing me for a loop a bit. I was listening to the lyrics and I was trying to figure out what the song is about because the title alludes to, current politics and whatnot. And I'm not sure. There's also relationship kind of lyrics in there. So I really don't know what this tune's about. I wrote that it's not quite a ballad. It's mid-tempo. It just kind of sits there for me. And this is the only other song that I rank 3 out of 5 stars.
I love doing these rankings with Mike, folks, because oftentimes we'll use the same phrase. Dipping back into mid-tempo.
There you go.
Slightly.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's about all I had to say about that one. Life Rolls On.
Yeah. This one here I liked. I wrote that it's a song about aging and rolling with the changes, but I didn't find it to be like cheesy or awkward or just cringy like a lot of those lyrics can be when you get to bands that are this age. So kudos to that. They nailed the lyrics. I like how it tricked me. It tricked me. It began as a ballad, but then it transforms into a rocker. And I noticed if you listen carefully, there's some really nice organ work going on by John Cain. So I rank that one 4 out of 5.
I wrote rhythmic shifts. Rhythmic shifts, and this is where I wrote Neil not overplaying.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing because that's his strength. He can shred with the best of them, but when he plays melodically, no one's more melodic. So, yeah, I think having, even though it's self-produced, but I think having someone of the stature of Nerida, someone who they're going to listen to, because they stopped listening to Kevin Shirley and they stopped listening to Kevin Elson. Yeah, to someone who's like, man, I wouldn't say this if I didn't think it would be best. Let's see what this sounds like if you don't, after every single bar. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And finally, an epic of a song, 7 minutes, 10 seconds, Beautiful As You Are, the album closer.
Wow. Again, I thought maybe it was a ballad, but it's a rocker. The acoustic work there is incredible, really. Big ups to Neil Schon. Understated and perfect until it goes full rocker at the end with Arnell in top voice hitting those high notes. I felt that there was an homage to classic Journey at the end, maybe a song like Anytime. And Walden gets almost like, I don't know if you'd call it a drum solo. He gets a drum outro of some kind, and it's wicked. Oh my God. It's like, you wait the whole album to hear him cut loose at the end there. Man, it just put a smile on my face, as you can clearly see.
It's so funny because I wrote, I don't know what that longest track / picks up. Arnell in fine voice. You said top voice.
Yep.
And then I said a bit jammy, but doesn't Dre. I have no idea. Anyway,
Drag.
drag. That's exactly what it says. Thank you for translating
Oh,
my own
Tim.
hieroglyphics for me. But yeah, it is a bit jammy, and they haven't done that on an album in, I don't know when's the last time they did that on an album. I have no idea. So yeah, a great way to wind an album down.
Yeah.
So yeah, our band is back, and um, you know, I'm all for it. I'm here for it, and I want to see more of these bands get off the road for long enough, put their heads together, write some friggin' songs, because not everyone's going to have the opportunity to go see in concert, but everyone at least has the option of buying your album. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my mantra. So that's the new journey, freedom. Now, and the more I look at it, the more I wish this had been the front cover, and maybe they'd put the scarab in the background somewhere. But I'm not going to quibble with the artwork too much. I do want to talk about something else that I just picked up, and
Yeah.
that it's not new. It's not new by any stretch, but this iteration of it is new. It's just called Alive in America. And this is a radio broadcast from the Evolution Tour. I don't know if it actually says inside of this. It's on a label called Renaissance Records, which if you go to Discogs, there's 1,000 labels called Renaissance Records. It was recorded May 9th, 1979, Denver, Colorado, at the Rainbow Music Hall. Well, okay, I see another mistake here. This would be their last tour with founding member Greg Raleigh. That's not true. I hate these cheap when they don't. If you're going to write liner notes, check your sources. Anyway, but here's why I bought this. Like, everybody's got these. Every
Yeah.
crappy label puts out these radio broadcasts, and I don't buy them. I bought this one because this captures, no pun intended, a unique period in the Journey history. Because as we've both talked about, I'm a huge fan of the first three albums. I love the
Mhm.
progressive jammy stuff on the first three albums. Huge fan of Greg Raleigh as a vocalist.
Mhm.
I enjoy what he brought to the keyboard end of things too. And they've got Steve Perry, and this is only the second tour they did with Steve Perry. So they hadn't really hit big. They're playing a music hall, right? They were probably playing like theaters at this point. I don't think it was until I think Departure did a little bit better for them, where they're starting to play arenas. And of course, it wasn't until Escape that they started to play stadiums, and they became the Journey that we all knew. At this point, they're just an a rock band on the rise.
Mhm.
And because at this point they only had Infinity and Evolution with Perry, they still dip into those first three albums, and you've got
Ah.
Perry singing on some of the songs. So you've got the song Next. You've got Too Late, which goes to Kohoutek, which is
Mm.
amazing. You've got On a Saturday Night,
Wow.
and you've got one of their heaviest rockers from Look into the Future, She Makes Me Feel All Right. So, and then there's other tracks on here which you've never heard live versions of, like Lady Luck, Open the Door,
Yeah.
um, City of the Angels. Like, yeah, this is a good document of, it's a fairly raw sounding recording. But, and Steve Smith, I mean, he was a monster. I don't know what he and Ross did or didn't do, but Steve Smith was a monster drummer. And
Yeah.
the hooks in the Journey songs that people remember, those are Steve Smith drum parts. He understood the assignment. He knew what needed to be done for these songs to elevate them from just catchy pop rock songs.
And listen to
And
his
and get
cymbal work. Oh
and
my
and,
God.
and this is why they have the respect of, not just people that like a catchy song, but that's what they have, the respect of musicians that you would never expect to be into a band like this. It's like, because they understand that underneath of it there's a solid musical foundation. And they've always had great drummers. Ainsley
Yes.
Dunbar was great. I mean, Castronovo is fantastic. They've always had great drummers, but Steve Smith, their most successful period was with him. And yeah, I'm glad that at least we got that document of them in Japan doing Frontiers and Escape albums. But yeah, so I thought this was as good a place as any to talk about this. It's interesting though, because it's on the Evolution tour, but it's kind of looking like it could have been the Departure tour here too.
True, but that's record labels getting shit
Yeah,
wrong.
absolutely. Yeah, and when another thing is like this has a 2022 copyright date on it, but when I loaded it into my laptop, it came up with something that came out in 2006 called the first part of the journey. So it's been
Okay.
reissued before in different iterations, but
Yeah.
I really wanted a good sounding document of them dipping back into those first three albums. Now, there's one thing that in a bizarro universe, if I'd had my druthers, I would have loved to have seen a super deluxe reissue of the Captured album,
Yeah.
because I've seen clips of them on that Departure tour where they are still doing songs from albums. There's a clip on YouTube I saw of them doing Too Late, and it goes into Of a Lifetime. And it's
Wow.
amazing. It's amazing to hear Steve Smith adding his touches to those early songs. So anyway, so yeah, it's a good time to be a Journey fan.
It is.
I'm curious, anybody out there, what they think of this album. Boy, it's I haven't lived with it for very long. It might end up being, measure my words here, it might end up being my favorite of the three Arnell albums.
Oh, it is by
It's
far for me.
it's got the potential. I thought Revelation was fantastic.
I do
There
too.
was such a good vibe around the band at the time. I was so happy that they had a platinum album, a top 5 album. Eclipse, I was on board with the gutsiness and the risk taking with Eclipse. This is quintessential Journey. This is
Yeah.
Journey that, like I said, Arnell sounds so good on here, and that's so important that you have him at his peak form, especially on the album where this is what people are going to be listening to over and over again. Because as we know, they might do 3 songs from this live, sadly.
If you're
Um,
lucky.
and yeah, I'm very happy with it. It was a long time coming, but worth the wait.
I'm very happy with it. I will go out on a limb and say it's my favorite Journey album since Trial by Fire, and you know how much I love Trial by Fire. And if you don't like Trial by Fire, then this is the best Journey album to me since Raised on Radio, or even before.
It's
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think that they just gelled in the studio, and if that's Narada's influence, then man, he has freaking saved Journey as far as I'm concerned. I love this lineup. I hope Randy Jackson recovers soon. I understand he's had back surgery, and I believe Michael's had his health challenges as well. So get well soon, guys, because you guys have elevated Journey to an entirely new level that I did not think they were capable of ever reaching again. So
yeah.
thank you,
They
Journey.
they they got someone cracking the whip, and
Yeah,
that's what they needed.
yeah,
They needed that.
yeah.
So yeah,
Total
Journey,
triumph. Total
free.
triumph. Go out and buy it.
Yeah, go get it. Yes, support these new albums by these veteran bands because we've only got them for so long. Hold up though. There's just a little bit more. You may notice Mike's in a totally different spot. He's got no hair. Just figuring out how to review this album has gotten the best of him. No pun intended. So yeah, we've got some things to add. Mike just held his up, and it's interesting because it's us fighting against our inner natures, and one of Mike's inner natures is must have the bonus tracks. So
Right.
he said he wasn't going to do it, but like Sam the Record Man used to say, I said it, I did it. Tell us
I,
about it.
I don't have it in hand yet, but I did order the Japanese with the bonus track, the name of which is escaping me now. But
Something hard to let it go.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the name of it.
And by the
Which
way, I sent Mike a link to what I thought was the bonus track, and it's just some dude talking about the bonus track. And I'm like, you should be banned from YouTube for that, dude. That is so lame. Come
it's
on.
literally a guy saying, I haven't heard the bonus track. It's only out in Japan. And I'm like, thanks, bud. Thank
Like,
you. But I will have it, I think, by next week. So maybe at some future time, if we ever do another Journey talk, we can talk
I'm
about some
sure
rarities.
we will. I'm sure we will. Something I forgot to mention before about this, the live album. Because this is the Evolution tour, it's weird for me to hear an old live recording of Journey with Perry doing Lights and not going in to Stay a While
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
because it wasn't out then. Well, I do have something to talk about. By the way,
Yeah.
as of we're recording this, Amazon.ca says that the Freedom vinyl will be available August 26th. And impatient me says, no, ain't nobody got time for that.
There it
So
is.
I ordered a used copy off of Discogs. It's been opened and I think played once. It's in wonderful shape. This is a European copy on Frontiers, broken up onto 2 records, and gorgeous. Looks even better,
Oh, that is nice.
reminding me even more of the. If you watch my finger, right above my finger is the Time 3 box set on my shelf, reminding me even more of the color patterns they use there.
Yeah,
And yes,
agreed.
and yes, it's open. That means I've got vinyl to show you. So it's 2 records on this gorgeous orange vinyl.
Beautiful.
And not only that, so the vinyl comes in these protective sleeves, but they also included lyric sleeves. Nice
Nice.
quality heavy cardboard too. So yeah, good job on the packaging, Frontiers, which they normally do. So yeah, um, continuing to enjoy the album, and Mike and I talked about this privately. I just want to say something. I just want to address something. Um, all of this show, it's our opinions. Don't take it personally. Not everybody's going to agree. But I do want to say this. I'm a Steve Perry fan.
I love Steve Perry.
I'm a Neil Schon fan. I'm
Love Neil Schon.
I'm a Jonathan Cain fan. Greg Raleigh. You know, the list goes on. But more than all of that, I'm a Journey fan.
Yeah.
I'm brand loyal, and that's sometimes why I don't pay attention to when these guys break off and do their myriad side projects, because I get easily distracted, because it's like, okay guys, you go do your fun and then come back and, you know, dance with the one that brought you, kind of thing. Like your main gig.
There
And
are
by
a
the
lot
way,
of solo albums too. There are a lot.
and by the way, don't waste any really, really good songs. Save them for your main meal ticket, okay? That's just my opinion. That's all I want to say there. People be like, "What's he talking about?" Doesn't matter.
The only thing I want to add
um,
to that is that I love Steve Perry.
Me too.
He is one of my
One of my
favorite
vocal
vocalists.
heroes.
And even today, like you and I have talked about the Traces album, and even today with his voice at his age, he's still one of my favorite singers. But we're not talking about Steve Perry today. We're talking about an appreciation of Freedom, the new
This,
Journey album,
yeah.
and we're just happy that they're back because, as you know, it didn't always look likely.
No, I didn't think. I thought they would just, you know, I thought they would just tour into oblivion
Right, pull a Kiss.
and then we'd lose some members and that would be it.
Yeah,
And they don't owe anybody any new music, but boy, it's nice to get it while, you know, especially while they're still, and they've proven, you know, they can still write powerful melodic rock songs,
yeah,
um, deliver all the hooks you could ever want. In a perfect world, you know, this album would be selling well, but you know, everything is so different now. But yeah, but for Journey fans out there that are going to see them in concert, and buy the album, like support
yeah.
this band, because it's, I don't know, I think that the stopping of new music will just dry up the creativity of any group, no matter how talented they are. So that's that's our take on the new Journey album, Freedom, and whatever form you get it in, get it.
Yeah,
And I'm curious to know what people out there are thinking about it.
me too.
So yeah,
I'm
really,
like this is for me the most excited I've been about a Journey album since Trial by Fire in 1996. So, do the math. This is a special album, in
yeah,
my opinion, and I think we share that opinion. It's
yeah.
special.
It is. It's the album we didn't think we'd have. And if you really want to get technical about it, we've been waiting for Journey Freedom since 1986.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so Mike, thanks for sitting in. As always, it's a pleasure. Yes, much more coffee needs to be consumed. And that's our take on the new Journey album, Freedom. Let us know what you think in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions.